Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing just good. So today I'm going to be doing something different. I'm going to be showing you how to take body measurements. Like we all know, body measurement is actually the basis for sewing clothes correctly. So if you do not have the correct measurement, trust me, the outcome will not be nice. Then you have to make a lot of adjustments. This video is actually for complete beginners, or if you would like to see how and why it is done, you can also watch this video. So if this is something that you like to see, please come along. Let's do it together. So guys, the first thing I want to tell you is this: do not assume. Once you have your client in front of you, ensure that you take all the measurements that are necessary for what you want to sew. In fact, just take all measurements that you can think of. Okay, always write down your measurements. Don't cram it, don't put it in your head. Always write it down. Before you start to take your client's measurement, always find the waistline of the client. And by the waistline, I mean the high waistline. Okay, so one thing that I would advise and that I've learned to be very, very effective is that once you find the waistline, tie something around the waist of the client. So for example, this is my mannequin. First, I'm going to find the waistline. That's the thinnest part of your upper body. And then you tie something around it. That is your high waistline. And mind you, it is usually about 2 to 3 inches. It depends on how tall the person is above the navel. So the basic measurements of a female body is the bust, the waist, and then the hips. Then of course the length. But there is more to it. Okay, so today I'm just going to take as many measurements as possible, and I'm going to tell you why you need those measurements, what they are used for, the kind of clothes that you need those measurements for. All right, so I'm going to start with the horizontal measurement, and by horizontal we know it is from the left to the right that go this way. Okay, while those that come from the shoulder line down, they are the vertical measurements. Okay, to take your shoulder measurement, don't start from the tip of the shoulder. You start from the shoulder bone and then you measure from one side to the other. Alright? So most people assume 16, but it is not 16. Actually, mine is about 15.5. If I use 16, my shoulder line would drop. One other thing I try to do, if you can't find the shoulder bone, maybe if the person is thick, okay, you can check the armhole line of the clothes that the person is wearing. All right, that line, you see this line, then you measure from one point to the other. Okay, and it must pass over your neck this way, not like this, not like this, but like this. Okay, except the person is wearing a drop shoulder clothes. If that is the case, please find the shoulder bone. All right, so that is the first measurement. The second measurement is this: your shoulder circumference. You need this measurement if your client wants an off-shoulder dress or an off-shoulder bodice or something. So you need to measure around the shoulder, okay, above the bust, round your arm, and that is going to be your off-shoulder measurement. And when you're taking your measurements, always ensure that it is not tight but firm. Okay, what I do when I'm taking the measurements is this: I do not add any allowance while I am measuring. No, and please don't do that. Okay, take the measurement as firmly as you can, and then when you're drafting or cutting, then you can add the 0.25, 0.5 inch ease allowance. Okay, the next thing we're going to determine is the bust measurement. So the bust measurement is actually the fullest part of the upper body, right? So you're going to put your tape rule round the bust from the back to the front. So when you're taking the bust measurements, the tape rule has to be on the same line as your bust at the front. Okay, not down here, but on the same line as the bust. The other measurement you're going to take is the waist measurement. So we have two measurements for the waist. We have the high waist and then the low waist. So the difference is this: some people do not like high waist clothing, okay, and some people, they put both their trouser and the skirt on the high waist. So you should ask your client, where do you usually put the waistline of your skirt? Okay, is it down here or up here? So if it is up here, you measure the high waist, and if it is down here, you measure the low waist. For the high waist, this is the high waist actually. You take your measurements round. Okay, so for the low waist, most people put their trouser on their low waist. Okay, so if you take the measurements of the high waist for the trouser, you're going to have a problem. For my mannequin, the low waist would be somewhere around here. This is about 28.5, and when I measured here, I had about 26.5. So that is a 2-inch difference, which is very, very huge when you're sewing. All right, so the next thing is to measure the hips. You should get the fullest part of your lower body. Find the point that is full, the fullest. Another thing is that it should go round your bum. Okay, it should go round the back. So when I'm measuring my hip, you see where this staple is, for example, and you see where the butt is. If you look at the front, it looks as if, okay, I've measured correctly. But when you turn it to the side, you see that it is not covering the butt. So guys, I had to wear something for the mannequin because the staple was not showing. You see now it's actually better. Okay, so you need to ensure that what you're measuring is actually on the fullest part of the bum. Okay, so you should find that line where both the hip and the bum is actually full. So the next thing is the measurements for the thigh, because when you're sewing the shirt or a trouser, you're going to need the measurement of the thigh. Okay, so it's usually about 2 to 3 inches below the crotch. Okay, so this is the crotch. When I'm measuring the client, okay, I'll just try and eyeball the line where the crotch is. Okay, find the line and then about 2 inches, put your tape roll in between, and then you find the thigh. Okay, for the knee, you find the knee and then you measure. Okay, and then for the ankle, measure the ankle. All right, but you know, when you're measuring the ankle for a trouser, right, you do not measure here. Okay, the measurement you actually need has to go like this. Okay, I hope you can see that, because your trouser has to be able to pass through your heels. If your trouser does not pass through your heels, then that's actually a problem. Except you want to put a zipper or an opening there. That is how you should measure the ankle width of your trouser. So if you want to make clothes, for example, corsets, bustiers, clothes that are going to show organ, just let me put it as organ clothes. All right, you understand what I mean? You have to take more measurements. All right, so the first measurement that you should take is your under bust measurement. Under the bust, so it has to be, okay, if you look at this, you see it's actually under the bust, and at the back as well, it should be on the same line as what you're measuring at the front. Okay, the other measurement you will need is your bust span measurement, and by bust span I mean the distance between the pointy part of your bust, that's the nipple, to the other, right? So it has to be like this. Okay, from one point to the other. So one other measurement you need is your across front measurement. All right, so it has to be from, not from the armhole. Now it's not like this, not from one armhole to the other, because there's usually an excess, a little bit of excess at this point, at this armhole side where the main bodice and the sleeve are joining. So in order to eliminate that, when you're making organ clothes, you're going to need your across front measurement. So one thing I would advise is you look for the brass strap of your client, and then you measure from one brass strap to the other, right? So you can make that your across front measurement. Okay, so you would also need your across back measurement. usually the across front measurement is usually lesser than the across back measurement. And the reason is this: our back, it's a little bit curved because of this bone that is here. I don't know what it is called. Because of this bone, yeah, this shoulder, this part, yeah, you measure from this top part just a little bit below the shoulder, like this. Alright, we're almost through, guys. One other thing I actually want to mention. Do you know the reason why we depress our shoulder? When we're drafting, usually we depress the shoulder by 1 inch. Okay, that is like a standard. But for men, it's usually more. Some men can be 2.5 inches. Do you know how we got that? Let me show you. So this is how we got that. If you look at the base of your neck, okay, to your shoulder, you see that it is not straight, it is slanted, right? So if you put something straight, a ruler, if you put it on the base of your neck, you see that there is a gap between this base, this shoulder, okay, and the ruler. This ruler is straight, but this is slanted. So if you measure the distance between this ruler and your shoulder, okay, this is about 1.5 inches for my mannequin. And that is where we got the shoulder slant. Alright? So it's not like you just have to depress the shoulder. We have to depress the shoulder because the shoulder is not straight. Alright? So you actually need this measurement to eliminate the gaping that you have especially when you're making sleeveless clothes. Okay, you see some clothes, someone is wearing the sleeveless clothes, and then you see some gap at the upper part. You can see inside the shoulder. Okay, it's because the shoulder was not depressed properly, or maybe not depressed at all. So you must depress your shoulder in order to eliminate that gap, so that this part, the shoulder part, can relax on your body. Okay. One other crucial measurement is your arm side. This is how you do it. You put your tape rule like this, and then you measure. Your tape rule is going to be like this under your armpit. Okay, and when we are drafting, we usually divide this by 2. One half is for the front and the other half is for the back. Right? Okay, so this measurement is very, very crucial if you do not want to have your armpits showing while you're wearing your clothes, especially sleeveless clothes, right? I think you may have to divide this video into 2 parts. I'm not sure, but let's go ahead.